There it was, just sitting in a cardboard box in the back of a closet, a dusty photo album that was about to detonate everything I thought I knew about my own family. I picked it up, expecting nostalgia, and got something closer to a courtroom revelation. The first image stopped me cold. My grandmother, who I had always been told was a quiet housewife from a small town, standing in front of what was clearly a protest march, fist raised, looking like she was ready to burn the whole system down. The caption on the back, written in her own handwriting, read, and I am paraphrasing here, "The day we refuse to be invisible." And suddenly the woman who made me soup when I was sick became someone I had never actually met. That is the strange violence of a photograph. It does not lie, it just waits. I kept flipping, and there was my grandfather. Not the decorated veteran we toasted every holiday, but a young man in a photograph dated 1942, standing arm in arm with people whose faces had been deliberately scratched out by someone at some point, for some reason nobody ever explained. Someone in that family made a choice to erase those faces, and that choice tells you more about the story than any caption ever could. History is not just what happened, it is what someone decided you were allowed to know. Then came the photograph that genuinely rewired my brain. A woman I did not recognize, holding a baby that, based on the dates, could only have been my mother. And on the back, just 2 words, her daughter. My mother had a sister, or half-sister, or something in between those 2 things that our family never had language for, which is probably exactly why nobody ever used any language at all. The silence was not absence, it was architecture, carefully constructed to hold a specific shape of reality together. I want to be honest with you, the first emotion was not curiosity or grief, it was something closer to betrayal. That particular sting of realizing the story you have been handed your whole life was a heavily edited director's cut. We all build our identity on a foundation we did not lay ourselves, and most of us never think to check the foundation. Psychologists call this narrative identity, the idea that we are not just people who have experiences, we are people who tell stories about those experiences. And when the story breaks, something in us breaks with it. But here is what I did not expect. Once the initial shock passed, I felt something unexpected relief, like a pressure I had not known I was carrying had finally been named. The album kept going, and with each page, the family I thought I knew became more complicated, more human, more real. There were love letters tucked between pages, a handwritten receipt for a one-way bus ticket, a photograph of a house I have never seen but somehow recognized. Every family has a mythology, and every mythology has a graveyard underneath it where the inconvenient truths are buried with remarkable neatness. Here's what I think the album was actually teaching me. Memory is not a recording, it is a performance, and somebody is always directing it. We inherit not just genes and furniture and bad habits, but entire edited versions of reality shaped by shame, protection, grief, and sometimes just the quiet human need to move forward without looking back. The practical lesson, and there's always a practical lesson, is that you should go looking before someone else's death makes it impossible, because a living person can explain a scratched out face in a way a cardboard box never can. Ask the uncomfortable questions now while there is still someone left to answer them, because silence compounds interest. What this album gave me, ultimately, was not a cleaner story, but a truer one, messier, stranger, more painful, and somehow far more worth carrying. Identity is not a gift you receive. It is a negotiation you conduct across generations. And you can only negotiate honestly once you know what is actually on the table. I am not the same person I was before I opened that box, and I have made my peace with that. If you like this video, subscribe and check out all our other topics.